Adoption. Adoption, in the context of Christian theology, refers to the idea that believers are adopted into the family of God through faith in Jesus Christ. It is a metaphorical understanding of the way in which believers become children of God and heirs to His kingdom. To understand adoption more deeply, let us dive into the dictionary explanation of this theological term. The concept of adoption. The concept of adoption is based on the idea that all human beings are born into sin and separation from God. Through faith in Jesus Christ, believers are reconciled to God and become members of His family. This adoption is not a literal process, but rather a metaphorical understanding of the way in which believers become children of God. In the New Testament, the concept of adoption is closely linked to the idea of redemption. Through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, believers are redeemed from the power of sin and death, and are brought into a new relationship with God. Theological implications of adoption. The concept of adoption has important theological implications. It suggests that believers are not merely forgiven for their sins, but are also given a new identity and purpose as members of God's family. This new identity shapes the way in which believers understand themselves and their relationship with God. Adoption also implies a sense of inheritance. As children of God, believers are heirs to His kingdom and are entitled to the blessings and privileges that come with this status. This inheritance is not something that is earned through good works or merit, but is rather a gift of grace that is given to all who believe in Jesus Christ. Biblical examples of adoption. The concept of adoption is rooted in biblical teaching. In the Old Testament, God is often referred to as a father to His people, and the Israelites are described as His children. In the New Testament, the concept of adoption is more explicitly developed, and believers are described as being adopted into God's family through faith in Jesus Christ. One of the most famous biblical passages on adoption is found in the book of Galatians, where the Apostle Paul writes, "But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth His Son, born of woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of His Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then an heir through God." Galatians chapter 4 4-7. Conclusion. In conclusion, adoption is a theological concept that refers to the way in which believers become children of God through faith in Jesus Christ. It is a metaphorical understanding of the way in which believers are reconciled to God and become members of His family. This concept has important implications for understanding the new identity and inheritance that believers receive as children of God, and for the way in which believers relate to God as their Heavenly Father. Bible verses. Romans chapter 8:15 "For you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received a spirit of adoption, by which we cry out, Abba, Father." Galatians chapter 4:5 "To redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons." Ephesians chapter 1:5 "He predestined us for adoption as sons through Jesus Christ, according to the purpose of His will." 1 John chapter 3:1 "See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God, and so we are." Romans chapter 9:4 "They are Israelites, and to them belong the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship, and the promises."